Hello. My story today is not really suitable for children or for those of a sensitive or vegan or even vegetarian disposition, probably. Will you stop licking the sofa? The mouse. Many years ago, there was a family with 3 little girls. Here they are, playing in the garden on a hot summer's day. Their names were Pat, Julia, and Fran. You notice, please don't lick the sofa, sweetie. You notice that in those days there was no such thing as sun hats for children, but they managed to avoid sunstroke by running around too fast for the sun to catch them. They lived in a little stone house in the middle of the country, with no electricity and no running water. Instead of electric lights, they had paraffin lamps. And instead of mains water, they had a well and a rainwater tank. The house was small, but their parents had an extension built. And in this extension, they put a bathroom, an indoor toilet, and a coal store. The water for the bath came from a tank in the attic. It got pumped up from the rainwater tank by means of a petrol-driven pump. Because it was rainwater, everybody had to be very careful not to waste it. When you had a bath, it could only be 1 inch deep. One day, Julia was going to have a bath and her daddy turned on the taps to run the bath water. As Julia was watching, she saw something coming out of the cold tap that was not water. It looked like a little bunch of grey fur. And then there was another one. "Look, Daddy," she said, "what's that coming out of the tap?" Daddy looked and he fished out the little bunches of fur and he made light of it as parents always do. "Oh, there must be a mouse in the tank. It must have fallen in and accidentally drowned," he said. And then Julia had her bath because water mustn't be wasted. But Julia always remembered the mouse that fell into the water tank. She wondered if it was a common hazard for mice, that they could perhaps lose their balance and pretty easily fall in like that. It was like Aesop's fable about the mouse that fell in the butter churn, except the mouse in the butter churn kept swimming and swimming until the cream turned into lumps of butter, which allowed it to climb out, unlike the unfortunate mouse in the water tank. Julia also wondered how long it would take for a dead mouse in a water tank to rot away sufficiently to lose clumps of fur. Julia thought it was fortunate that the tank in the attic was not used for drinking water. Years later, when she was grown up, she reminded her daddy about it. "Do you remember that time when the mouse drowned in the water tank and fur came out of the tap into the bath?" she asked, in a reminiscing kind of a way. Her daddy looked puzzled. "Mouse?" he said. "What mouse was that?" And then a light bulb went on in his head, and he remembered. "That wasn't a mouse," he said. "It was a rat. It must have got very thirsty after it ate the rat poison." And actually, now I think about it, there were 2 rats.